First, we want to get out to our presidential preference election. Voters braving the polls, some of them covering up with masks. CBS and CNN both calling Joe Biden early on tonight as the winner in our state. The former vice president is also the projected winner in Florida and Illinois.
Let's get over to Sen, who's taking a closer look at how Democrats in each county voted today. Sen?
Well, it went quick, guys. It was called by 8:12 by all the major networks that Arizona was a wash in a wave of blue. Blue for Biden. And take a look at the current total so far. Over 200,000 votes for the former vice president to 139,000 for Bernie Sanders. But when we go into the county by county mode, what's popping out at you? Look at Coconino County. This is right now leaning, barely leaning towards the Sanders campaign. Same thing for Apache County by just over 600 votes, as well as Yuma County still leaning at this time for Sanders. But again, Arizona has been called for the vice president. It was called at about 8:12 tonight. Huge data dump right at the top of the hour. More than half of the votes counted within the first 30 minutes. But again, a couple of counties leaning towards Bernie Sanders. It was a clean sweep tonight in Florida, Illinois, and Arizona. So let's bring in our political editor, Dennis Welch. Of course, Flagstaff, the major metropolitan area up here, Dennis, for Coconino County. Maybe that free college, that promise of free college, maybe swinging those voters at NAU possibly, Dennis?
Yeah, you got a big population of students over there, and we know that students, Bernie Sanders, very popular with a lot of college students out there. Now, as far as Apache County out there, leaning toward Mr. Sanders as well. Sanders has made a concerted effort, not in just this cycle, but in past cycles, to capture that element of the vote. But as far as the overall big picture here, Joe Biden looking like he's going to win a very comfortable victory here. No big surprises here tonight as Mr. Biden, former vice president, really expected to win here. A lot of the polls going all the way back to May of last year. Most of those polling numbers always showed Mr. Biden out front of all his other competitors out there. So no big surprise here tonight. Now the big question for Sanders tonight is how many delegates can he get out of Arizona, and whether or not that this decision is going to force him out of the race. There had already been a lot of talk about how Mr. Sanders should get out of this race and start unifying this party as they get ready to take on President Donald Trump in November. Now that talk only going to increase now. It looks like a clean sweep with Mr. Biden winning back in Florida. He's winning in Illinois, and tonight right now he is winning and going to win here in Arizona. Back over to you, Jared.
Dennis, what do we know about turnout today and what that means in terms of enthusiasm among Democratic voters?
Well, we can tell you this. The overall turnout, obviously not as much as 4 years ago when we saw those big lines. And the reason for that is only one party was holding that presidential preference election this year. That was the Democratic Party. But in terms here in Maricopa County, I spoke to Adrian Fontes, the county recorder here a couple hours ago. He was expecting that day of turnout was going to exceed day of turnout from 4 years ago. He said that early ballot returns had already exceeded 4 years ago, those early ballot returns in that 2016 election. So it looks like despite, a lot of fears about going out in public right now and going to places like polling places with this concern over the coronavirus, not really dampening the spirits here of Democrats as they're going out there and letting their voices be heard here. And again, giving Mr. Biden now another big victory here tonight.